All right, ladies and germs. Very shortly, I'm going to be joined by Melissa Odessa, who I like to describe as the most dangerous woman in the Bantamweight division. And that is not just flattery, I believe that is fact. I've already sent her the link. I'm giving her a little bit of time to prepare. And we're going to address a lot of spicy subjects because Melissa's very angry right now. I don't blame her. There's going to be a lot of curse words. Now, the rules of engagement are the same. While I'm interviewing Melissa and I'm talking to her, my eyes are going to be focused on her. So if any one of you guys out there have a question that you'd like me to ask her, you're going to have to send in a super chat to get my attention because my eyes aren't going to be looking at the live feed, the live chat. My eyes are going to be on Melissa. So if you want to get my attention, you send that super chat in. I make some money. You get your question answered. Everybody wins. Timmy, what's good? UK Rob, what's good? Wambuchi, what's good? Don't ask me what's good. Sophia, what's good? Emma Willis with the popcorn. Yeah, man, very interesting times in the sport of boxing. I reiterate, I believe that Melissa Odessa is the most dangerous woman in the bantamweight division. And though she hasn't had the opportunity to prove that, we're working to change it by getting her some press, get some people behind her, get her notoriety out there, get her out there. And I guarantee you, if you see what she can do, you're going to like what you see. She's dangerous. She was trained by Treadstone. Those are the same people that trained Jason Bourne. You may have heard that name. Jason Bourne was a black ops operative for the government. Killed a lot of people. He'll kill you if you let him. Yoy! I was goody, James. The camera. Yeah, man, we doing it. I got Melissa Odessa coming on today. I got everybody's favorite super featherweight, Alicia Baumgartner, coming on tomorrow, same time. We're going to talk about her next fight, among some other things. Nope. And that's how it's rocking, man. It's a lot of news right now. It's more news than I can keep up with, but I'm only one person. I do my best. Which reminds me, I actually want to post the link to the live feed, if you will. I will post it to Twitter. Live Q&A with joining me shortly. Let me put this right here. Put this right here. Put the link right there. 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 Chris Price, what's good? Danielle, what's good? Is it a good thing for Lopez to fight Loma now since Anatoly is linked up with Usyk? It would be opportune. If he doesn't have Anatoly Lomachenko in his corner, I would say that, yeah, that would be very opportune. Gonna forever. Julius, you ever gonna go back on the boxing voice? Yeah, probably. Nestor extended me an invite. He got in contact with me and he was like, yo, you want to come on? I'm like, yeah, sure, why not? So, I mean, if he ever wants me to go back, yeah, I have no issues going back. David Byrne, did Mary McGee confirm possible Chantel Cameron fight? It's not signed, if that's what you mean by confirmation. It's not signed. It's not done. Mary's going to have a tune-up fight in August. And conceivably, after she has that tune-up fight, then you do a Chantel Cameron fight. But for now, it's not signed. It's not on paper. To my knowledge, it's not on paper. But she did say she met up with Chantel in Las Vegas when Chantel was fighting Melissa Hernandez. And they met up. They talked. Everything was real nice between them. And they're both open to the unification match. But the fight is not done yet. I believe that it will be done. I believe it can be done before this year is over. But on paper, no, I don't think it's done. I don't think it's done. And she didn't say that it was. Emma Willis. Right? Shit, man, it's a lot of stuff, man. I hear people keep mentioning my name in all these different places. I be living rent free in people's heads, man. I don't know why. I'm just trying to mind my own business and do my thing. I don't know, man. story of my life. I'm just minding my business. Okay, your interviews are always. Appreciate that, bro. Appreciate that, Kaoski. Have you heard news about Teofimo fight being canceled? There's a rift, Sophia, and I've been meaning to do a video about it. There's a rift. The people at Triller want it to be in Australia. Lopez's people don't want it to be in Australia. I believe it's that Lopez people want it sooner than that, and they don't want it in Australia for obvious reasons. My thoughts on that, just real quick, hot take. He should have just let Top Rank do the fight, because if Top Rank had done the fight, yes, it would have been for a little bit less money, but all this time would not have been wasted on that, because it should not take a year to make a George Kambosos Jr. fight. And that's what it's looking like it's going to take. He fought Lomachenko in October. The Triller people want the Kambosos fight in October. If it happens that way, you took a year to satisfy a mandatory for the IBF. Before you know it, another one is going to roll around, another mandatory. You know what I mean? Like, it's like, if you would have let Top Rank do the fight, yeah, you wouldn't have made as much, but at least it would have been done, and then you could move on to a big fight that'll give you a big purse. Instead, short game, long game. Should let Top Rank do the fight. Exactly. If Triller gives up the rights for the fight, the second highest bidder gets the rights for the fight. And it then becomes a Matchroom show, because Matchroom placed the second highest bid for the fight. Did you hear about Billy Joe Saunders? Yep, and I'm going to talk about that too. Don't worry. I'm not going to talk about it here and now, but I'm going to talk about it in a video. It's mad stuff going on. And I'll talk about it. Right now, we are waiting for the incomparable Milicia Odessa be joining us shortly. Why doesn't Teofimo want? I don't know. Originally, the funniest thing is the original plan was to go to Australia. Back when, before everything went sour, before everything went bad, the original plan actually was to go to Australia. And David McWater, if there's an article where he's quoted and he wasn't averse to it, they didn't have a problem. Now, I guess they have a problem. They don't want to go down there. Like I said, they should have just let Top Rank do the fight. If Top Rank would have did the fight, this would have been over and done with, and you would have been ready to have a big fight, whether it's with Lomachenko again or Devin Haney or somebody else. You would have been free to have a big fight. Now, all this time got wasted on a regular old mandatory, just so that you could get a little bit more bread off the top. And you might not even get that bread. You might not. I saw that Sasha Jones interviewed Michaela Mayer. I hate you, Sasha, and I'm jealous because I've wanted to interview Michaela Mayer for some time, but I have the sneaking suspicion that she doesn't like me because I've tried, can't get her. So shout out to Women's Fight News, and I hate you. What's goody, DLG? I kind of thought that, Fish. I kind of thought that because it's an ordinary fight. You can't really expect an astronomical purse for an ordinary fight. Like, what's the value of that fight? What, 2-3 mil the max? And you want them to give that to you? I really feel like he should have just let Top Rank do the fight. It would have been easier to just let them do it. And no, maybe you don't make as much, but at least you can get that out the way. So you can have a big fight, a big, interesting fight with a big, interesting purse. Mayor got you in the interview doghouse. Yeah, I don't know. I get this. I'm psychic. No bullshit. And I can feel the hate. I feel, I don't know, maybe I'm off. Maybe I'm off base. But I've tried to get her. I can't get her. A lot of people always ask me to get her. I can't get her. Everybody else, they get the interview. I don't get the interview. I'm very jealous about that. She might hate you because of all the disrespect. I hope that's sarcasm. Are you getting Lexi Doyle on? She blocked me on Twitter. I want to get Lexi on. Lexi is very knowledgeable. She's very smart. She knows a lot about everything, but it's hard getting her on. I'll try for Sinicia. Her dad's real cool. He's a real nice guy. Bill Haney told Lopez Sr. to meet up and talk business. I wonder if Lopez put his ego aside and took that advice. It seems like he just went after the biggest numbers without. Yeah, that's kind of what I'm thinking. I'm thinking that they told him some sweet nothings in his ear. They talked a couple of zeros and they bit. And they turned an otherwise simple mandated title defense into a really convoluted situation where it doesn't need to be. It's just the mandatory, bro. It's not a big fight. You want an astronomical purse for what is not a big fight. It shouldn't have taken that long. It really shouldn't have been stretched as much as it's been stretched, because you don't get the time back. That's the problem. For all the time that's going into this, maybe you get the money, maybe you don't. But what you won't get back for certain is the time. You won't get the time back. Oh, I'd love that Box Story. Shout out to Box Story. He does interviews as well. Follow him on Twitter, Instagram. I believe he has a YouTube channel here also. Follow Box Story. Yeah, man. I don't want to address that fight until Melissa gets here, though I will say if they made that fight, yeah, I think Melissa would beat her. I'm fairly confident that she would. I'm fairly confident Melissa would beat Shannon Courtenay. See what happens when kids, yeah, man. I mean, that's kind of the story, isn't it? That's kind of the story that got a little bit too big in his boots, and he turned an otherwise simple situation into something that's complicated because it shouldn't be complicated. It's a mandated title defense. It's not a big fight. Just making sure the signal looks good, because, yeah, it looks a little bit choppy now that I'm looking at it. But yeah, man. Julius, how do you think Lucia Riker would have done in this women's era of boxing? Well, this women's era of boxing, a lot of the girls have more extensive amateur backgrounds. That's one of the biggest differences, because women's boxing being in the Olympic Games is fairly recent. That's something that happened fairly recently. So a lot of the girls back then probably didn't even have the amateur pedigrees of a Nicola Adams or a Katie Taylor or a Melissa Parker or a lot of these girls. So they've got more amateur experience, which lends itself to some of their professional experience, that they ain't newbies. They ain't just starting from scratch and learning on the job. So with those things in mind, I don't know that Lucia, I'm not saying that she wouldn't have been one of the ones, because she was one of the great ones of her era, but I do think that the competition is a little bit more stiff in this era because these girls got deep amateur backgrounds. The girls back then, I don't know that their amateur backgrounds were the same as the ones from this era. Parker versus Bridges. Oh, please don't I don't want them to fight. I love them both. I don't want them to fight. And don't ask me who wins that fight, all right? I love them both, so don't ask me who wins that fight. I'm a huge fan of both. I hope they never fight. Ever. On BoxRec, Bridges was ranked 27th and Courtenay struggled. Mitchell is currently 28th. We'll see how that goes. I think Courtenay might need some time to build up. She's not ready. I mean, look. And I ain't bootlicking. I'm just being honest. I do not think Shannon is ready for Melissa Parker. No, I don't. I think she'll need like 2-3 fights for she ready for her, man. She ain't ready for Melissa, man. Jamie Mitchell in my opinion, Jamie Mitchell is a good choice. I don't think it's a bad choice. It's all right, because Shannon doesn't have that many fights. She doesn't have that much professional experience. I think of Jamie as a solid choice, and we'll see what Melissa thinks about that fight as well. I'll ask her about that. Salute Spotlight fight. Aye. Hopefully, this makes Lopez realize that if he wants big money, there's Melissa. All right, let me get her on. Everybody say hi to Melissa. I know you're very
Here.
I know you're very upset, so let's just start off with your last fight. Calista Salgado, you fought her. Tell me about that fight.
So, as you know, Rosalina the Duck found a way out of the fight. So, Kalista has stepped up. So, she knew she was fighting me with a little bit of time. But unfortunately, my promoter wouldn't allow me to, I wasn't allowed to tell who my new opponent was. So, when we had fought, I was ready for a war. I wanted to go like toe to toe with someone, but I had Kalista. So I knew she didn't have a full camp. So I took that time to be able to work on things. I just turned pro last year, September. So I took that time to build up my rounds. I had planned on the whole time that 10th round, I'm going to show how much control I have and take her out. But I kept being held on to for dear life. The ref, for some reason, wanted to practice social distancing during the fight. So I wound up going to a unanimous decision against her.
Okay. Beyond that, because I guess Callista kind of saved the day, because the thing with Rosalinda, moving on to Rosalinda, is that fight even a possibility at all, or is it just?
Well, she's under contract to fight me, but the situation we have right now is I myself am currently in the process of getting out my contract with Signature Punch Promotions. I just recently signed with First Round Management. Shout out to them. So under Gary Lewis, I would have to fight her again. But since I'm more than likely going to be getting out of this contract soon, I won't be held to that fight anymore. I have no interest in fighting her at this point. She has no belt and she brings nothing to the table. She used my team and I for a fight, thinking she would be able to get out of fighting me once she realized the challenge that will come in fighting me. I don't play that game. So I'm over that. I just want championship belts, or I'd rather move on to other things.
I understand. I understand. Now you see that Jamie Mitchell, who you've minced words with in the past, she got. Well, I ain't gonna say she got lucky. They gave her the fight. How do you evaluate Jamie Mitchell as an opponent for Shannon Courtenay? Because we know that Shannon don't got a lot of fights. She don't got a lot of experience. So is that a good fight for Shannon?
If she wasn't a current world champion, that would be a great fight. As far as their abilities, they're about even, but in different ways. You have one that hits hard, but is slow. You have another who can put punches together, but she hits you solid, but not enough to make you respect her. So their experience is going to show who's the better of them two. But your current world champion fighting someone who's not even ranked, they fought against Vasquez. Nothing against Vasquez, but she can't even be a sparring partner for me. She's no threat to anyone. Look at her record. You stopped her, and it took you how many rounds to do it? So now you're getting an opportunity against a world champion because you're more than likely the best shot they have at keeping that belt. So it's kind of slapping your face where, hey, you want this opportunity? Because we know we could most likely beat you compared to all these other girls. And that's what that is. She didn't want to fight me, but she accepts a fight against Courtney. So I guess big money talks.
That's what I was going to ask you about next. That basically, what kind of odds do you give Shannon against the Yuli Hang Luna or Daniela Bermudez or someone like that? You don't? Do you give her? I know. I know.
Do you listen to Jay-Z? Zip zero, stingy zero. Like, Mina, this is why I love 118, because of the talent that there is. I consider myself one of the best. I only want the hardware to back up what I say, not the other way around. So when I see Luna, when I see now Dina Dorslin in our weight class, when there's even Roman who still has her belt, it excites me because these are girls who can fight. Courtney has no chance against women like us. We have experience and we have dog in us. That's the difference between 118 and these other weight classes. We're a weight class full of dogs who we don't just bark. We want to bite and we want to full like fight. We want to go at it. That's why everyone wants Courtney. Why wouldn't you go after the weakest link?
Eso, y no, y eso fue lo que yo dije, que she may have beat because I don't really agree, but vamos a decir, she beat Ebony Bridges, ¿verdad? Pero you don't realize that now you have a target on your back, and everybody from Melissa Odessa to Dina Thorslin to Ceci Roman to Yuli Han, they're all gonna come after you, and I don't know that, and I don't want to knock her because she's a good fighter. I do think she's a good fighter, but looking at it, it's like, yo, dog, I don't really think you can beat any of the, like, I don't think she can beat you. I was literally just talking about this, and I'm like, if it was Melissa Parker versus Shannon Courtenay, yeah, I like Shannon, but she gets beat. She gets beat, and she probably gets beat bad.
She fights any of us current world champions at 118. It's not going the distance, and there will be no respect. Who doesn't want a training camp where they don't have to go that hard and retain a title? So she would only be the best option to go for next if you have been in somewhere. So you go against her and you take her belt. Once you're in there, what does she do? She doesn't know how to adjust. She doesn't know how to change her game plan. It takes her a really long time. When something does work, she starts doing something else that isn't in favor. That's the reason she didn't do well against Ebony. She was doing so well in that first round, and then she ditched the plan and started doing other things, giving into Ebony's fight, which was smart and Ebony to draw her in. That's not going to happen with me. You draw me in, you're going to end up on the canvas, as you can see with my other opponents. I love being drawn in. If anything, I'm going to make you think you got me, and I'm going to come in, and then I'm going to catch you with a hook. Courtney doesn't have that kind of skill, that mentality, or understanding, or IQ. So she shouldn't be a world champion right now, but all the belts need to be filled. That's why I didn't have a problem with it. If no one has a belt, who cares who gets the belt? But once you do get the belt, that changes everything.
That being said, do you view Jamie Mitchell as a threat to her? Is she a credible enough threat to Shannon Courtenay that she shouldn't look past her?
The only way I see Mitchell doing well in this fight is if she lands clean against Courtney. But I think if Courtney is able to sit her base down, she's not going to get stopped. Mitchell is not as strong as a lot of people make her out to seem. She's been strong against her opponents. I don't think she's going to be able to hurt or stop Courtney, but I do think the skill level is close. So I don't think Courtney should overlook her, but I see her outclassing her in every round.
Yeah, your sound, I don't know what it is. The sound just went out for a little minute, but I caught the last.
Bad. If I get a phone call, it silences everything. I try to like hit it real quick.
I dig it. So moving on, let's talk about what we're here to talk about, the ducking. Talk to me about that.
Man, it's crazy. I'm watching all these females who don't want to fight me fight each other. So all I can think is it has to be one of several things. One, when I was with my promotion, they just didn't have the kind of money that talks. Two, I'm one of those fighters, as you said, I heard you say you're high risk, low reward. Right now, that's my position. I only have the IBO. No one's salivating for the IBO. That's just the honest truth. Three, I haven't been around long enough where anyone wants to allow me in the mix, because it's kind of like, you just stepped on the scene. Who do you think you are? And that's what I dealt with some of these girls like Maureen Shea. When I was with Andre Rozier, they actually reached out to her to fight me. And she turned it down. She felt disrespected, saying, who do I think I am, calling her out? Well, no disrespect, but I watched your last fight. That's why I'm calling you out. You're really not at the top of your game anymore. You should be glad I'm giving you a fight to even stay active. That was the way I felt. So to hear that kind of threw me off, because I didn't feel respected in this sport. And I went against her in the amateurs, and it was my first loss. I felt I got robbed. She got the decision. We never matched up after that. So for me, it was exciting because now we're not in New York. You don't have those refs who you're a favorite. Come see me wherever you want and let's get down to business. But that was her reason for it, and it didn't happen. Amanda Gale, the Mexican assassin, come be the Puerto Rican assassin. You know what I mean? And the list goes on. We have reached out to so many former world champions, current world champions, and up and comings. Nobody wants to smoke with Melissa Odessa.
I think you made like, and I'm. It's like I saw what you've done so far, and off top, I knew like, yo, they're gonna part around her like that, like a river around a rock. Nobody's gonna want to give you an opportunity. At least nobody that's like you in the position that you're in, a contender, because they know it's a risky fight. It's a very difficult fight. They'll probably lose, and for taking the fight on, what are they gonna get? So moving forward, when can we expect to see you in action, and against who, if those conversations have even happened?
That's what I mean. I tried to get Bermudez before, she was knocked up and I couldn't get her. Then she fought Serrano. I tried to get Mercado. She had a mandatory or something like that, just like the situation with Luna. All of a sudden, all these current champions have mandatories, but now you're fighting people in other weight classes. So I don't know what's next because I had a game plan. I was supposed to be fighting August 20th in Puerto Rico. I'm no longer on that card from my understanding. So I'm just sitting here doing this and trying to stay patient, but I can only stay so patient. I went pro because I wanted to stay active and fight. I want to show the world, hey, there are exciting fighters in women's boxing. I'm one of them. But it's just not happening that way. And I'm not going to keep crying and begging to be put on these cards if I'm going to continue to be overlooked.
Well, that's kind of what I wanted to ask you about. Before you went pro last year, because bear in mind, you haven't been a pro that long. Is this what you thought it would be like?
No, I thought the opposite. I really thought the attitude would be, yo, we understand you did all that stuff in the amateurs, but don't come over here talking that. Come see me and let me shut you up. Just like Mitchell. She posted how I talk too much. Why wouldn't you want to shut me up if I talk too much? Our hands can do most of the talking. But you dodged me even when we offered you more money, had your manager speak for you, and come up with all these excuses that, yeah, she don't want to fight because, your girl talks. You got to tell her to tone it down. I joined one of the most brutal sports to deal with some of the softest people. I don't understand what's going on. This is the sport where I should be able to talk my stuff. Like, one, I'm from New York. Two, I've been doing this over 20 years. Three, I'm part of the military. I ain't about the bullshit. You got the right one if you wanna see what it is. So if you come at me, I'm gonna come at you. But I don't make it personal. If you look at everything I say, it has to do with you being a fighter. But I'm a maggot, and I think I'm Clarissa Shields and all these other things.
I read she wrote like nothing against her. I'm just a passerby and observer. But I saw the post. It was long. It was like an essay. I was like, wow, B, she was fucking mad. The type of that.
Yes. And you know what it is? I hit a trigger from the amateurs. Like Mitchell wasn't nothing in the amateurs, and she's nothing now in the pros. She had her moment to shine, and someone spoke up, and she got mad because a little bit of truth got shown. Who was impressed with that fight? Who actually is in the fight game? It was just the casual fans who were like, yo, that's dope. Everyone else is like, yep, Mitchell and Vasquez. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I tried to, because I bought the card, to support. I bought the card just because it don't cost a lot of money. I bought a card, pero ya se sabe que, and nothing against Noemi, right? But it's like you said, que you expect that, yeah, she should win the fight. And you should win in good fashion too. Mitchell should win in good fashion because, Bosquez, her record is her record. It's not, not to say nothing bad, but her record is her record. And Jamie hasn't made a splash in this division yet. Not to say that she won't, but she hasn't made a splash yet.
Mm-mm. She hasn't done anything. Like, If I was 5-0 and all I fought were tomato cans or people with losing records or other fighters with short records, small records, I wouldn't be saying the things I say. But I fought Cecilia Roman. I've now fought Calista Salgado. What can you say when it comes to me about why I shouldn't be trying to fight the kind of opponents I'm fighting? These other fighters like Mitchell, they haven't earned that spot. They haven't taken the same path I have. So how do you land a televised world title fight?
Mm-hmm.
But did her a solid putting her in that pay-per-view because it opened doors. That's why you need to be on televised cards. You need to be on cards that are on these pay-per-view streamings, because if people don't see you, if they don't see what you have, they're not going to know to look out for you and want to see you fight. Everyone knows of Mitchell now because she was on this pay-per-view. She got that exposure. But here I am locked into a contract where even if I'm being offered fights, it's getting turned down because they want me to fight on their card.
So that's where you are contractually, to where, vamos a decir que te ofrecen una pelea, you can't take it?
So if you sign with a promoter and you sign an exclusive agreement, that means that you are signing to only fight on their cards or any cards that they agree for you to fight on. So they're supposed to be the intermediate of putting the card on and then other cards putting you on, because they still get their percent whether you fight on their card or not. But what they're doing now, and this is why Gary Lewis and I are now going at it, and I had to get a lawyer to get out this contract, because what he's doing is he wants me only fight on his card. Mind you, his cards that aren't doing that well. So anytime someone calls saying, hey, we want your girl on her card, we want you to fight for this title, all he has to do is say, no, we already have something lined up, and hang up. Now, I'll never know about it, and everyone else will never know about it. And this is what a lot of promoters do. This is one of the issues I had with my team, with my management team, is I wasn't being told about fights I was offered because there was already a plan. It shouldn't matter the plan if you're not staying active. If a fight falls through, you should be telling your fighter about other opportunities. So managers protect you. Promoters make money off of you. I don't agree that promoters should be allowed exclusive agreements after my experience. Now I see why these fighters like Canelo and some of the other big fighters won't deal with certain promoters, because they just want to make money out of you, but they want to dictate your career.
That sucks, man. That sucks. I wanted to ask you about Serrano Mercado, and I know what you're gonna say, but I gotta ask. What do you think about that fight?
I think it's smart on her team side. Serrano only picks opponents that she mentally believes she can win. She's a head case. Ever since she lost at 130 or whatever weight it was, she's timid of that division. Everybody wants to get paid to lose nowadays, and that's what she's doing. I'll fight Taylor for a certain amount, but I won't fight in that division against other people to show why I belong fighting against those girls in a higher weight. You lost the last time you fought at that weight. How you go from losing to now wanting to fight the biggest name and one of the biggest names in boxing at a higher weight that you did not do well at? She keeps going against the smaller girls because she's the apex predator against small girls. It's the truth. Look what she did with Bermudez. But it was a good fight because Bermudez was still tagging her. That's what fights are supposed to show. Two skilled people going at it. But look what happened. You go against a smaller girl, you're going to wind up breaking her down eventually. Go against a bigger girl, they're not respecting those punches. I know I won't. Serrano comes at me with that overhand crap, leaving herself wide open. She's going to be eating a fistful, just like she will with the other girls at 130. So what does she do? You're fighting 126, looking at girls fighting 115 and 118. That says a lot about you.
I want to say that because I try to be fair, and you know how I feel already, but I guess the reason that I kind of cut her a little bit of slack is because they said, and we got, and this is just their side of the story. They said they offered Erica Cruz $100,000 to take the fight. Dike, Erica didn't take it, so they ended up with Jamie Mercado. That's the story, and until Erica Cruz says otherwise, that no, they didn't offer me $100,000. I'm gonna just believe it, real, till somebody says otherwise. So I'm trying to cut her slack because she said she wanted to unify, and at least based on the cover story, that's what they're trying to do. But that doesn't make Jamie a good opponent. Jamie, watch Jamie's last fight. Like, bro, she was getting hit square by a girl that don't hit nowhere near as hard as Serrano.
Did you see her fight before that, Mitchell? She fought the bare knuckle fighter.
Britain Hard?
Yeah. Did you see how that fight went the distance? And I had it at a draw. So how are you going to Courtney now? But I don't know. I just feel like this sport is becoming full of chumps. Like, I don't want no part in it. I'm at that point where I'm like, what's up, bare knuckle? What's up, MMA? Because, everybody want to fight me. Everybody's like, we don't care about your boxing. Like, you step over here, we going to put hands on you. Please, somebody want to put hands on me. Like, I just want to go. I train way too hard to build my record up. I'm training 6 days a week. I'm training for hours at a time. I train for wars. I have no interest in getting in there and just going against girls who are going to show why I'm that good. I want to go against other girls who are going to wake me up and go, this is why I'm in this sport. I want to be like a gladiator. Let's go at it. Even that tournament, I wish I could make 130. I'm contemplating it because I'm like, all I want to do is fight. And I can't get nobody to fight me.
Pobrecita, man.
I know. I feel like I should have a cup and a sign.
You can please fight me. Please, yo.
Yeah. Like, I really believe if I went down in weight, Sanisha would fight me before anyone else. Because that girl can fight. And when she fought a tomato can, we got on her ass. And look what she did. She stepped it up. Everyone else can do that. And what's weird, have you noticed now you get a card and they wait a long time to fight an opponent for the card or to announce the card? Why are we going to fight you last minute? We need a build-up. Have a full camp. Show a storyline so people will want to watch this fight. We have the Triller card coming up, right? What storyline is behind that?
It's strategy that they offer the fighter last minute to fight, so they ain't got that much time to prepare for it. Then when they get the fight, they haven't even had a full camp. Why? Because you offered it to them last minute. So they compromise building up the story of the fight and building up the fight in order to gain a competitive edge in the fight. That, we gonna offer it to you with just a few weeks left, and you'll take it because you only got a few weeks to train, but you really ain't gonna be ready for the fight. You ain't gonna be right for the fight. So if you see that fights ain't built, at least that's my theory. That why you going to wait a few weeks to offer the person a fight? And it must be because you don't want them to have a full camp. You trying to offer them the shit last minute so they don't even be ready for the shit.
Exactly. And that was something I was dealing with also, is where I'll get asked to be put on like a smaller card, which obviously I'm not going to do because I feel I'm past that point. But don't hit up us fighters talking about, we have this for you. Do you want to fight? And we have 2-3 weeks. No, give us a full camp so we know who we're fighting, and then we can put on a good performance. I believe that's what's also hurting women's boxing, is all these last-minute opponents and waiting to show you're on a card when you've known forever you're on one. So hopefully that starts to change. I think that now with us speaking up and more fighters being comfortable speaking up, I really believe the culture's going to change in how women's boxing is being dealt with. These promoters and managers can only get away with what we allow them to get away with. Instead of crying about it and being upset, if we help share our stories and educate and spit a little knowledge for those of us who have been in the game a while, it's going to help everyone else to see what's going on, which only brings them on board. if you notice, people are speaking up, and now a lot more people are gravitating towards women's boxing. Like, yo, that's what's going on. Oh, snap. Now they want to know more.
Yeah, I agree because if you look at the fights that have been beneficial to the sport, the fights that actually left an impression, those were the fights that were actually built up. Like, for example, Harper versus Jonas. It was like, oh, that's a good ass fight. It's a risky ass fight. Bridges versus Courtney, two girls that are at a similar place, risky ass fight. Katie Taylor versus Delphine Passoon, risky ass fight. But if it's just gonna be good prospect versus no hoper, well then that's not gonna do nothing. Like no, that's not gonna do nothing. People want to see a fight. I believe.
How many people wanted to see the second fight with Delphine and Taylor? Because it was exciting. It's not. It doesn't matter if you lose. If you lose well, it's about how you lose.
Agreed. And I feel like, see, we got a fight like that here in America, and it was a great fight, and it was Cenicia Estrada versus Cenicia Estrada versus Marlene Esparza. Because they had beef with each other, there was build up. She pushed at the press conference. It was like, yo, this shit is wild, like it's lit. That's what we need more of. And what I see is that, to your point, which we talked about earlier, if Jamie Mitchell ain't like you because you be talking a lot, then fight her. You know what I mean? Like, then fight her.
Yeah. Let me tell you right now, I don't like someone, you're going to see me headhunting because I'm looking to bust your mouth up. Like, that's how it should be. I can't believe I'm in boxing dealing with this. Like, when you're told to tone it down, what? Tone what down?
That's wild. That, like, you never would have thought that they're like, okay, so in the sport of boxing, when a boxer doesn't like another boxer, instead of fighting them, they won't fight them. Because Amir Khan said that. He said, like, yo, Brooke talk to.
Stay quiet. Stay quiet.
Yeah, like he said, yo, I don't like Brooke, so guess what? I ain't gonna fight him. That's fucking backwards, bro.
Like, how dare you have an opinion? How dare you think you're better than me? Like, it's crazy nowadays. Like, I had people messaging me telling me be more like Ebony Bridges. Once, I don't got the boobs to be like Ebony Bridges. I got to put on some weight to have an ass. So maybe I will move up. But all I can be is me. I'm a fighter. Everybody has their gimmick. Gimmicks aren't always a bad thing. It's just that it has a bad stigma. But everyone has a gimmick. I have mine. I'm a talker, but it's part of my personality. So it comes across real because it is who I am. It's just me turned up. Ebony also, she's a confident woman. She talks smack, but in a different way, where she's going to kill you with kindness. And then she's going to poke her chest out and everyone's going to watch because I know I do. You have other girls like Jonas, sweetest girl ever. And it works for her. But she also don't have no dog in her because I would move up to 130 and fight Natasha Jonas. There's certain girls at 130 I would fight. At 132, I have fought a lot of these top girls also. So they don't scare me. It's just that what I would have to do to put the weight on. If I move up, I'm not moving back down. That's the reason I'm trying to stay here. But if nothing's popping, I'm about to be like, oh, girl that was doing the ice bath. Who were you interviewing last?
That was Mary McGee, IBF champion at 140.
I'm about to be like her, where it's like, yo, I just want to fight world champions. What weight? What date? Let's do it. But I was trying to avoid that because I want to be undisputed. That was what excited me. The thought of being in one weight class and just smashing and showing there's no one better than me at this weight. And that's what I wanted to see other women do. Show why you're at the best at that weight and then move on.
I mean, if in an ideal world, it would be that way. The good news is, if you can get your team to jump on it, Dina Thorslin left her WBO at 122 behind. She vacated it. They told her she has to choose. It's either the one you just won at 118 or the one you won at 122. You have to choose. She apparently, the story is, she chose the one at 118. So there's an opportunity there. It would require you to move up, but ahí está Jamie Mercado, Daniela Bermudez when she comes back. Mayerlin Rivas with she has the WBA.
At 122, right?
122. Super bantamweight.
That's another thing. I don't have to stay at 118. I want to stay at 118, but I hate the thought of jumping around. But I move up to 122, then whoever fought at 118 is gonna have to meet me up there. Because once I get comfortable with that weight, I ain't shaking nothing off, not even water weight.
All right. Now I gotta pick your brain because you're a fighter. You know this sport, inside the ring, outside the ring. Joshua versus Usyk got announced. Who do you like for the fight?
I don't know because I don't know the second fighter. Joshua.
That's wow. Okay. Different topic. Did you see the fight last weekend? Con Charlo Castaño. It was on Showtime.
Yes. So let's talk about that. Can I curse?
Of course. My kids is in the other room.
Motherfuckers ain't happy. Like, if it's a one-sided fight, yo, see, I told you. But then when two champions go at it and show why styles make fights, ain't nobody happy. I was happy because I'm like, this is championship level fighting. It ain't always gonna be rosy. It ain't always gonna be pretty. But it wasn't Stevenson who was hesitant and, so cautious. They were actually fighting. Watch the fight, be happy, have a Coke and a smile, sit down and shut the fuck up. Like,
I thought they both, to me, because I've seen a lot of Castaño, I've seen a lot of Charlo. I thought they both looked all right. To me, they both looked all right. Like, Charlo hurt him 2 times. Castaño hurt him. Castaño was throwing a lot of punches, but not as many punches as he normally throws. And that's what I think is getting lost, that ellos no entienden que ese muchacho, él tira mucho puño. Pero él le tenía mucho respeto a Charlo. He didn't want to even throw as much as he normally throws. Y ellos no saben eso because, the audience, they don't know that because they don't be watching him. So they don't appreciate it.
Mm-hmm. And you know what people don't realize? Some of the baddest fighters are the ones who aren't being promoted to the face of boxing. I'm telling you, you look at some of these up and comings or some of the ones who don't have a belt, that's why they won't fight them, to avoid them getting that belt. But that's what world championship boxing is supposed to look like. 2 people who are at the top of their game currently, and they go at it. Then maybe they go at it in the future. Where are you then? And that's why we need fans to understand, because you have a lot of keyboard warriors who know everything, but they don't. But if we're on here and we're talking and we're also getting other fighters to commentate, that's one of the things I really enjoy, is seeing people in the sport commentate. Because now they're not saying dumb stuff that doesn't make sense. Like, what? You'll be here talking about like your pets and what you did last summer during the fight. Like, nobody cares. Talk about the fighters. Know a little bit about their background. Know about some of the people they fought. Like, for instance, the women's pay-per-view. Nothing against the commentators, but I wanted to shut the volume off. Like, what are they talking about? Know what they're talking about. It's going to make a difference because you have a lot of people who just want to follow the lead. So better leaders.
But see, that's why, like, on Ring City USA, they actually had WBO champion Jamel Herring, and the commentary was good. They had Cenicia Estrada también. She was commentating. Commentary was good. So I would actually like to see more boxers, and you too, because you can talk. Like, you could talk, like, the everything. I feel that commentating really should be exclusive to boxers during a live fight, because they could tell you what the fighter's thinking. They could tell you why a fighter do something. A lot of times you just got like a lot of fluff that ain't about nothing. Like, they talking about anything but the goddamn fight.
And the thing about us fighters too, especially if we're current, if we're commentating, we don't want to sound stupid because we're still promoting ourselves. So if there's a fighter we don't know, we're not just going to commentate and be like, oh, look how strong she is. Look at what she's doing. No, we're going to do our due diligence and do the research so we can actually bring information to the table and know what we're talking about. And that's one of the differences in having people in the sport commentating and then have people that you're just pulling in to talk about the fight who aren't really involved.
I agree because, like, I think Tim Bradley does a good job. I think Andre Ward does a good job. I'm not going to say nothing bad about anyone by name, but I would like to see more fighters commentating.
Yeah, have you heard Paulie Malignaggi's commentating?
I mean, de verdad, mira, he's, to me, as far as ex-fighters and ex-champions that commentated, he's one of the best, if not, at least for this era. Him and Roy. Pero él dijo lo que dijo, ¿verdad? A Showtime, algo que tú sabes que no se dice, and it's what it is.
Yo no sé.
Él dijo algo that I feel was misconstrued. He said that Eastern Europeans are kind of taking over. He said that, I think he said that they're like, I think he said they're top of the food chain, and that was misconstrued. Now, if you know the amateur scene, you know that there's more Eastern European fighters now than there was in the 80s and before that, because, you know, they didn't get to compete with people in the West. Like, they wasn't really competing with Americans, all these people in the West. I felt like that's what he was talking about, but other people chose to turn it into something else. You know, I believe the story is they asked him to apologize, and he stood on his square. He said, I believe, you know, I got to fact check it.
That's
and
crazy.
He stood on his square, and he was like, nah, I ain't with it. And then he dipped. So
isn't that the point of commentating, though? Having an opinion, and then that's what makes the panel so diverse and brings about the short conversations. You're supposed to have an opinion. People don't realize back then there were a lot of bans in other parts of the world, especially for women's boxing. That's why women's worlds got bigger. Now the Olympics, because we have women to fill the numbers. That's what was happening with men's boxing. They couldn't go to certain areas. They couldn't fight. Now you have it where things are opened up. So I can understand a comment being made like that. I'm actually confused because I thought it was going to be something racist.
No, es que así fue que ellos lo cogieron, pero lo que él dijo, entiende que cuando yo fui jovencito, we didn't see boxers from Uzbekistan. We didn't see boxers from Kazakhstan. We didn't see a bunch of boxers when I was young, Olympics and all that. We didn't see them. All of that didn't start until later on. So I knew what he meant. That it's like, yeah, things changed because it didn't used to be this way. Like those kids, you know, Gayasov, Akhmadaliev, this other kid from Kazakhstan, Yanibek. We didn't used to see boxers like that when I was a kid because we didn't see people from that part of the world. Things changed. And that's what he was talking about. Pero gente lo cogieron like he was trying to say otra cosa. I'm like, nah, y'all just wild sensitive, B. Y'all cats is just wild sensitive.
Yeah. I tell people, stop being so soft.
like Napoli has a question for you. He says to Melissa, I wish you nothing but the best in your career. You do have the potential to become a champion and a pound for pound great. Keep shining.
Thank you. And yeah, you know I said in my tweet, like, I'm going to be the fastest world champion to retire. And while I stand by that, I'm going to be patient and I'm going to wait. But I can't keep training at the level I train and not receive fights. I had heard rumors about why I'm not be put on like certain cards. Like they try to put me on the Triller card. And you know who's on the Triller card? And
yeah.
So manager and coach is actually spreading word to keep me off cards because I spoke about Serrano and because I'm so open about her. So when things like that happen, it's messed up. And yeah, I'm going to put it out there because what's done in the dark, it comes to the light. So when I was informed about this, I was like, wow, this is how petty we are. You can't talk about stuff where now people try to like blackball you and try to block you from being able to do things. That's the reason even when the Bella talks, I just roll my eyes. I remember the Bella from the amateurs. I remember the stuff he did and the stuff he didn't do. So don't come now because you don't have a foothold in men's boxing and now you want to try to take over women's boxing because you think you could take advantage.
Give me 1 second. Somebody's at my door. They're going to probably yell at me. Give me 1 second. 1 second.
No problem. Well, we live, so I don't know what to say. I'm going to just sit here and smile, I guess.
And we're back. Okay, yeah.
Good, because I was like, I don't know what to say. I'm going to just smile. I'll change
No, it's cool. Yeah. So I agree, and it's pet like it wouldn't surprise me if that's true because people are petty like that. Like I could tell you about all the petty stuff that's going on with me now. I'm like, yo, people can't be this petty, dog. Like I don't got the energy to be petty. If I'm not making money, I don't have energy for it. Like that's how I am. I don't got time to be arguing with you free. I gotta get money. But people are petty, man.
And they
Petty.
are. And they're two-faced. Like I heard about Ochika being offered only a small amount of money to fight, and it's the same reason the same fighters pull out of fights. And I'm like, man, if we start fighting each other, the money will be there because then people want to see us fight. You have to find realistic solutions. If you're not fighting anyone that's anyone, it doesn't matter if you're 60 or no. We don't care. The people don't care because we don't know who it is that you are fighting, who you're stopping, who you're knocking out.
I agree because it's like the memorable fights that left an impression were the fights that weren't one-sided. Taylor versus Pursoon wasn't one-sided. Bridges versus Courtney wasn't one-sided. Even Senicia and Marlene, like she won. On my card, she won, but it was still a good fight, and you have to put on a show because it's show business. You got to put on a show.
Look how people are still talking about the Ball and Courtney fight.
And Jonas and Harper.
Exactly. People just want to see people evenly matched and putting on good fights. And that's why if it was structured better, where up and comings are fighting each other to be ranked, if you're going to charge us for these belts, then start making these girls fight for the regional belts first, instead of putting them on cards and then just letting them fight for a world title. It needs to be known, the structure. How do you want us to do things so that we know what to do and it's not all over the place? Or people are going to keep trying to find what's open. Like, I'm looking forward to see who fights for the 122 belt now that it's vacant. People who don't want to fight each other are going to try to go ahead and get that belt and now fight who they pick to fill it in.
Exactly.
So it just keeps going.
It's a vicious, to me, it's a vicious cycle. And it's like, yo, dog, the WBO don't even post their ranks for the girls. Like, I looked because I regularly check. And I'm like, yo, the WBO don't even have ranks for their female fighters. So I literally don't know who gonna fight for that belt.
They don't update nothing. Neither does the IBF. You go on these websites, there's no information. I went for the World Series, the website. So, I was like, you know what? Let me see what's up with this. No updated information. The only person who's putting out information, and it's not always accurate, is BoxRec.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
I don't
because
know
Serena,
COVID, but it's crazy.
no, it's laziness. Serena McCoy, she had a fight this past weekend. I go to BoxRec. I believe that was her 7th fight. I go to BoxRec. It still says 6-0. I'm like, yo, BoxRec is asleep at the wheel or something. Like the girl fought this weekend. If it was one of the guys, it'll pop up like that. But when I check sometimes for the girls now, it don't pop up or the card don't even be there. And it might be like a week or something before it even show up. But if it's the guys, the night of the fight, the result is right there. The night of the fight. I'm like, no, eso es que ustedes son vagos. No quieren hacer nada.
And that's what even happened with me with Rosalina. I was waiting because I'm like, no one's gonna understand what I'm saying because they wouldn't post it. And then finally, after a long time, they posted it, and I had people hitting me up like, yo, that's messed up, I saw it. People want to see things that are facts. Nowadays, if you don't show proof, no one listens. That's why I tell people, don't DM me because I'll post that shit. Like, I'm like, nowadays. Because people don't be believing me. And I'm like, not that they don't believe me, but it's just you hear so much he say, she say, that you get to a point that it's like if somebody don't back it up with the proof, because I'm that same way now. I'm like, who said that? Like, where it coming from? I don't know if I believe you. I'm suspicious.
No, de verdad, mira. Ellos le están diciendo que le ofrecieron a Erika Cruz $100,000, ¿verdad? Y yo así. I'm like, really? Y'all offered her $100,000? Está bien. She's not saying that y'all didn't, right? She's not denying it. So I'll take it with a grain of salt. I'll believe you. You offered her $100,000. and she didn't want to unify. Está bien. I don't know how much I believe that because, look, en el 126, there's not purses like that. You understand what I mean? So I find it hard to believe that somebody would turn down that much money que cuando ya se sabe que el dinero normalmente no está ahí. So I'm really wondering, did they really offer her $100,000 and did she really turn it down? Or is that just what y'all saying? ¿Quién sabe?
And there's always three sides to a story. So I guess we're just going to have to wait and see this unfold because, man, like I said, I'm at that point where it's like, I really want to fight, but to stick around in a sport where I can't even stay active, why would you want to stick around? And that's what's going to hurt. Look at Clarissa, Clarissa's not lazy. She's showing she's not. She's training. She wants to fight the best of the best. But people don't realize this. You have to have excitement for yourself. You have to be motivated. When we've been in this sport for so long, what are you bringing to the table if you're not bringing money? So if you don't want to step up and fight, like I can't argue with myself. I can't talk smack to myself. There's nothing to do. So you got to look on to other things. But I don't know. Hopefully they just figure it out. I wish they made everyone vacate and did tournament style. And now everyone has to fill the belts and we just start from scratch.
Ojalá. Pero hay una oportunidad. I reiterate, if it can be finagled, if it can be negotiated somehow, some way, the WBO title at 122 is vacant. Dina Thorsland, at least based on what I read, she left that one behind. It's available for somebody to fight for it. And, hey, there's good fights at 122. Jackie Nava está ahí. Balbi Juárez está ahí ahora. Jamie Mercado. And I feel bad for Jamie because I like Jamie. But she's probably going to get knocked out.
Mercado isn't going to make it to the 10th round.
Yeah, she's not.
And hopefully soon we can just get to these 3 minutes because it's really going to show whose top dogs are. That extra minute makes such a big difference. I mean, look at my fight. If we had a whole nother minute, man, she wouldn't last. And I'm one of the few fighters to be able to hurt her. And I was getting her good. But with that 2 minutes, you hear she hurt that thing and she just held on until the timer went out. With 3 minutes, it's harder to gauge the time. And now, even if it's even, that minute helps because you're going to have both fighters are going to have their moments if they're both legit skilled fighters. But that third minute, a lot of times, if you look in men's boxing, it shows you who should get that round.
It does. But the thing is that everybody's giving a different take. Like, I've asked many fighters this question, and and I do agree with them in a sense that, okay, well, you want to add a minute to what we doing. Is you going to add some money? Because it's like, if you want us to do more work, we need more money. But at the same time, I see other people say, well, look, if there ain't no knockouts, the marquee value is always going to stay the same because it's entertainment. People want to see knockouts. If you want to see knockouts, we need that minute. So it's like everybody's divided on that issue.
But I feel like that's a bullshit answer, to be honest. Step up and fight other people on your level and put on good matches before you start talking about so much better pay. I think that a few people look for excuses not to fight the 3 minute. But if you really feel that way, let's start making the change first and stepping up and fighting against each other instead of expecting people to do things when we're not putting any effort into doing our part. So I think it's a catch-22 where some of us as fighters, we're not being honest in how we're not doing our part. And then you have them on their part where they're like, well, we're not going to give you 3 minutes. We're not going to give you more money. What incentive as fighters are we giving them to want to give us more money, to want to give us 3 minutes? Mercado and Serrano ain't it. Courtney and freaking Chicken Mitchell ain't it. Fighting people who aren't similar to you in your weight class ain't it. I could go down to 112 and 115 and clean up shop. But what is that going to do? So if I got to go to 122 or 126, I'll tell you right now, there's nobody up to 126 that I'm afraid of. You have a strap, I'm willing to go at it because I know that's what's needed. I catch an L, guess what? I'm going to lose looking phenomenal. And people are going to want to see me again because now they're going to want to see, hey, how does her style go against her? She couldn't do it against her, but she'll most likely be able to do it against the other person. And if one person don't want to fight you, look how big the pool is now with women's boxing. So I don't buy Serrano's excuse that, oh, we had to go with Mercado. Okay.
Let me, Napoli has a question for you. He says, as a proud Boricua and New Yorker, Melissa, have you seen the critically acclaimed Showtime documentary on Hector Camacho?
No, but I do want to see it, so I will go ahead and watch it because I heard it's really good. But thanks for reminding me. I will put it on my list of things to see because I'm not in training camp, so I have nothing else to do.
Hey, let's talk shit about people. Okay.
Let's talk about Serrano.
We had the blonde bomb war for it all. Would you and Amanda be the Boricua war for it all? For the Boricua supremacy?
Yeah, because I keep hearing people say, like the Bella, oh, Mexico versus Puerto Rico. That's old now.
It is old.
Like, I'm so tired of hearing that. Let's do Venezuela. Let's do Brazil. Let's do Puerto Ricans against other people. We're no longer that caught up in Puerto Ricans versus Mexicans.
Yo iba a decir el mexicano con el argentino mejor. Porque there's a beef there. There's a beef. And I've been watching it over the years. Que like, yo, eso argentino, ellos pegan. They can fight.
If Roman and I was fighting again, and that fight had been televised, you think it would be on the same platform as Serrano Mercado?
That's like that, and that's what I want to communicate. I'm not selling it. I'm not bootlicking. If y'all haven't seen this woman here fight with Ceci Roma, go watch. I swear to God, go watch it. It's better. It's actually better than Serrano versus Mercado, and it's because it's not even, man. Mercado don't. Nah, bro. I know she a champion, but that's at 122. This fight is at 126. It's not.
And that's the thing. Fight people who are fighting in that weight division. Like I like what Dina Dorsland did. 122 ain't popping. So she said, I'll come down to 118. None of y'all like really concern me. So she picked someone off because it was vacant, but she ain't now jumping to the next weight class. She vacated 122 and said 118. What's up? I wish I had one of the 4 major belts. Or the other 3, because I would be like, Dina, let's go at it and show them how it's done. Because you like to fight and I like to fight. But I know realistically that it's going to take money. I don't have a promotion that could put up that kind of money right now. And if my promotion does have that kind of money to put it up, then they need to come talk to me so I can have a better understanding. But these are the kind of fights that it's going to take to change things and change the view on women's boxing. Fight people in your damn division.
Yeah, I mean, moreover, just everybody who's observant, whether they're in the business or they're just observant, you know what the good fights are. You know who the good fighters are. You know who they are. You know what I mean? I'm not. This is why I don't turn my nose up at Courtney versus Mitchell. I know you and Mitchell got beef. I understand that, but I'm looking at Shannon and I'm like, you know what? This is a good fight for Shannon because Shannon don't even have a lot of fights. She fought Rachel Ball, who I think is very good. She also fought Ebony Bridges, who I think is very good. But they're in a very similar place, all of them. It's in a similar place. And that's kind of where Mitchell is right now, where, you're in a similar place to them. So it's a good little fight for you. Do I think Shannon is ready for Ceci? No. Hell no. No way. Daniela, if she weren't pregnant, no, she'll beat you. She'll beat her. Quick.
Yeah, but this is the difference once again. Once you're a world champion, that's not the time to go against other evenly matched fighters who aren't ranked and who haven't put themselves in a position to fight for a world title. I placed myself in a position. I have now fought for a regional title, and I've now fought for a world title, and I've also fought a current world champion. So I put myself in that position. Mitchell hasn't done anything in the position she's in. She got chosen because she's the easiest pick.
with that being said, the issue before with the IBF was that you didn't have, I believe it was the IBF, that you didn't have 5 professional fights. Now that you've had 5 with Calista Salgado, is that something you can revisit to fight for that title against Ceci Roman, only with the title on the line this time?
Yeah, most definitely. Roman and her team has already said that they would fight me in a rematch. So I hold them to that because this time I'm going to whoop on her and take her belt. So it needs to happen because we put on a great performance. She feels like it should have been a draw or she should have gotten the win. I feel that I definitely won by a majority decision. I felt it could have been unanimous also, but because I edged out the win in most of the rounds. But that's going to be the kind of fight that's going to bring attention that people are going to want to see. And I know she's going to be training hard. And this time I'm going to have a full camp. So if our teams can make it happen, I would most definitely be down to fighting Roma. But like I said, unfortunately, I'm in a situation where I signed with a promoter who wants to keep me completely out the loop. I'm not allowed to ask questions. I'm not allowed to know anything about my career. For instance, when my opponents got switched, I got yelled at because I wanted to let everyone know, hey, I no longer am fighting Rosalinda. Y'all have a right to know that if you're purchasing a ticket. He wanted to be slick. And he said, look, you got to understand the game. You got to keep this from them so that when the fight gets closer, you announce the opponent who is a last minute opponent. And then people still watch the fight because it's so close to it. They're not going to ask for their money back. Now they just want to see you fight. I don't do business like that. I'm not about tricking people. So if Gary Lewis wants to do things that way with Signature Punch, that's part of the reason I'm back home and I'm not training. I don't agree with those things. And I'd rather not be put on the card and not fight than do something that goes against my character, because that's not how you do it. So I'm going to speak up. I'm not going to continue fighting not knowing who I'm fighting. Like right now, if you ask me, hey, are you still fighting? Who are you fighting? What is your promoter doing right now for you? I have no idea because I can't ask questions. And that's why I'm going through this whole battle. And that's why you have to read your contracts. When they tell you sign right now or the deal is off the table, walk away.
Yeah.
Not stick around and say, damn, I don't think I'm going to get a better deal. And that's what happened with me, unfortunately. I'm looking at what was read to me because a lot wasn't. Because I'm like, it's okay. I'm going to go see a lawyer after this. So I'm going to go ahead and know what everything says. But next thing I know, I have an amendment put on top of it where he's like, you have to sign right now or this contract is off the table. So I signed. I went from a guy who on camera says, at Signature Punch, we're family, to behind the scenes, you're going to fight whoever I say, you're going to do what I want, or I'm going to destroy your career. This man looked me in my face and told me, I'm an evil man. I will build. He pulled out a folder and said, I will build a case against you, get my lawyer, and destroy your career. So now I'm sitting here not knowing anything. And it's one of like the worst feelings in the world because everyone's telling you like, hey, stay quiet, deal with it. But no, we have all these Olympians about to turn pro. We have all these girls who fell short for the Olympics turning pro. I'm 34. I had my chance. I didn't make the. I fell short. Now, as a pro boxer, I have a chance to be a world champion. But I'm okay with losing opportunity if it means that I can shed light. Because if my time has passed, coño, it's past. But I can do other things and it's not too late, and I'm okay with that. But when you get these promoters like Gary Lewis who try to tell you this is what you have to do, or else, man, don't fall for that because then you wind up in my position where now you're spending your purse on a lawyer, where now you're trying to fight for your full purse because not only are you getting underpaid, mira esto, I asked if I was worth at least 1,000 a round. and I got yelled at and threatened to be pulled from the car just because I felt that I should at least be paid 10,000 for a 10,000 a 10 rounder. I got paid $6,000, right? And I said, okay, because the money's gonna come. So I took it. Not only did I get paid that little bit amount, but because he got mad at me, he decided to make all the deductions. So I received my pay and I'm getting almost half my pay or less because now he's saying, I can take this from you because I want to. I can take this from you because I want to. And I'm going to take this from you because not only am I underpaying you, but you have no manager, you have no one representing you, and you're in an exclusive contract. So who else are you going to fight for? Because everybody has to go through me if you want to fight. And if I don't want to tell you, I'm not going to tell you the information. And that's what I've been dealing with.
Oh man, I wish somebody. I would have told you, like, yo, look, it's like I've been offered sites, right? And whenever I see that the person is too eager to offer me a site, I turn it down. Like, nah, you too eager, bro. Like, oh no, you gotta take it now, bro. It's real. Like, no, it ain't good. That's why you want me to take it now. And it's like that with contracts. They're like, yo, if you telling me, no, why I gotta sign it today? Why I can't sign it tomorrow? Because you don't want me to read it, right? You don't want me to take it to my lawyer so he can look at the fine print and tell me, what does this mean? That's why you want me to sign it. Oh man. That's terrible, man.
Yeah, but this is the thing. Like, I have a chance to shed light. You know what I mean? So as much as it sucks, I can handle it. I have some of the toughest skin in the sport. So I'm glad that it can happen to me before it happens to anyone else before it does. Because I got duped, but I allowed myself to get duped. So I have no one to blame but me, and I'll take that responsibility. So now I have to deal with it. So I now have to let everyone know what's going on with me so you can understand. Now conversations will happen. And if conversations are happening, then I did my part. If I don't fight this year, y'all know why. It's because Gary Lewis with Signature Punch Promotion has full dictatorship with my contract. And because he is pissed with me, I'm being punished. And I have no idea when I'm fighting. I have no idea who I'll be fighting. I don't even know if I've been offered fights and they've been turned down because it's already happened. But now I'm back in Texas, no longer in Florida, because I'm fighting at a facility where he wants to dictate my sparring. He's a promoter, watching my sparring and yelling at the coaches and the fighter about sparring. Go in your office and focus on finding opponents because you're a promoter. You're not a manager, you're a promoter. Promoters and managers have different things that they do. That's why these contracts to me are so crazy. Look at the contracts now that promoters give you. They're basically management contracts.
Which is against the Ali Act.
And now promoters are working with managers and they're working together. So how are you, my manager, representing me if you're working with the promoter to put that card on?
And that's actually the reason. That's the reason that in an ideal world, the reason it's structured that way is because the manager's supposed to act in your behalf and the promoter is supposed to act on the behalf of, the promotion and or the network affiliate. But it's not supposed to be them all, like that's kind of collusion almost for the manager to work with the promoter without the fighter's knowledge, because you're there to represent the fighter. You're there to manage the fighter, so to speak. And if you're working with the promoter against the fighter's best interest, well, you're fucking over the fighter. Then what do you need a manager for? You already got the promoter trying to fuck you over. And the manager too? You might as well not have a manager and let the promoter fuck you over.
And you don't know these things until after you sign an exclusive deal. So you're in that position. So I'm sharing because I just want people to understand like the messed up crap that happens in fighting. You know, like I'm not on here crying and asking for anyone to find me a fight. And I'm asking, please, managers and promoters, stop calling me for these smaller cards. No offense, no disrespect. But that's not what I go on here for. That's not why I tweet. That's not why I post. It's because I'm going to put it out there. If things aren't done in the dark, it's going to be a lot harder for them to be shady. And that's why they want division, because power comes in division. But in unity comes knowledge and strength. And that's what we need. I kind of blame the sanctioning bodies, the governing bodies, because they charge us for stuff. They want to tell us that this is what we have to do, but they don't get involved. What are we paying a fee for?
Like I had this conversation with Rick Ramos a couple of months ago, right, about the sanctioning bodies. It's like, yo, y'all quick to take a sanctioning fee, but y'all don't promote a fight. If you're going to take a certain percentage out the motherfucking purse, you ought to be promoting a goddamn fight. That way, maybe you'll get a bigger sanctioning fee if the fight gets more viewership or more tickets get sold. But no, they come, take the sanctioning fee, ya está, y se van.
Yeah. Like, I won the NABF regional title, right? Where are they to put me in line for a world title fight?
And that's their job. That is literally your function. You're here to give the sport structure and make sure that the ranks move along. At least that's what we think you're here to do. Nope, they're just here to collect the sanctioning fee. That's it.
And sit back and chill. You call the office, see if someone picks up. The sport pro boxing, you really have to understand it. If you want to make it to a certain level, you got to educate yourself. And now that I have been educating myself, man, that it's just, it makes you feel down. Like, wow, this is a grimy sport.
At that level, I mean, I think that some people are fortunate that there's some fighters, they're amateur, they go pro, and they walk in with a big time promoter that has a big time platform deal. So there's a little bit more transparency than the alternative. The alternative is a lot of shady people, shady fucking contracts, pettiness and bullshit. Igualito que la vida, porque la vida es así también. You know what I mean? That if you're lucky, you get into a halfway decent situation, but there are other situations where it fucking sucks.
Yeah. And we need like a union in boxing or have panels. How is it that amateur boxing is getting it done and getting on top of things, but you can't do it in pro boxing? Look how they threatened to remove boxing in the Olympics because they didn't get it right. So sanctioning bodies, governing bodies, man, make some threats. Start making people suffer. People only learn when there's consequences that directly affect them. So if you're not doing nothing, what are they going to do? Women's boxing in amateurs is already 3 minutes. I'm a pro boxer asking an amateur to switch their timer. You know how stupid I feel? Like, excuse me, can we go 2 minutes so I can pace myself? Thank you kindly. Get the fuck out of here.
I mean, if you think about the role that sanctioning bodies actually play in the sport of professional boxing, they're almost, and I'm not trying to be funny, but really think about it, they're almost useless. You're fighting for the belt because of the notoriety that comes with the belt. All right. The actual boxing commission of a state gives you the license, not a sanctioning body, not the W. You don't get a boxing license from WBC to W. No. You got to go to a commission to get that. All they there to do is collect a sanctioning fee so that you can fight for their belt. They're kind of, I hate to say it, useless.
Yeah. They're like gangsters. Like, you know what I mean? Boxing's like a mob. Not the right kind. Like, I wouldn't mind the mob being involved. Get this shit right. But it's crazy because everything's all over the place. Nothing is fluid. Nothing is flowing because nothing's going to be perfect. But this is a hot mess. And it's not going to get better until changes are made. And hopefully it gets to a point where fighters have had enough. Where I'm hoping that some of these bigger names can start getting involved with us on the smaller platform. Like, you made it. You're now there like Canelo. Look at what you were able to do. You were pissed with Oscar De La Hoya and his promotion. You said screw them and you made it work. Like, talk, you talk about it, put it out there. Start getting involved on these other cards. Canelo shows up to these cards. He sees what's going on. So now he's getting involved, making his own promotion.
Yeah, with Eddie Hearn in Mexico.
So that's a start, but that's only helping men's boxing.
It's like, yo, I don't know, yo lo dije, que en este país yo no sé lo que es, pero que no le gustan la dama en este país porque no la quieren ayudar. Well, I'm not even going to say, en México they got a good boxing scene para las mujeres, para la dama. En Argentina, they got a good boxing scene. Those girls fight on TV, ¿me entiendes? In almost every other part of the world. But in America, it's like, I guess they just really, really, really misogynistic in America.
So South America is known for poverty. That's known. You can't fight that. But how is it South America female boxing is like they're being taken care of? Even with when I fought Oman, they had like all these lists of demands and stuff they wanted. Like you would have thought we were a huge pay-per-view. We even had to pay them more for the fight. And you come over here and us American fighters is like nothing. You want to get paid high and fight who you want to fight, but you go down there and they fight because I got no problem going down there. Like I'll go to your territory, but you got to give me a full camp because if I'm going to your backyard, I now have to hurt you, drop you, and possibly stop you
and kick you.
A lot of these refs are on something else. Look at these scorecards. When 3 judges don't have similar scorecards, what does that tell you? And they're not getting fired. No,
they're not getting. I don't even think they're getting suspended.
No.
I haven't. The referee from last weekend, 117. Every other ref, Ted Cheatham, he had it a draw. Steve Weisfeld, he had it close. He had Castaño by a point. This other dude, 117, 111. You're crazy, bro. What fight was you watching? And I haven't heard that he's getting suspended or anything like that.
And mira, go to these fights and look at the refs, especially when female fights come on. I have seen them, the judges looking on their phone, looking away, having conversations. I've seen people in the crowd tapping them on the shoulder, talking to them. How are you not watching the fight and then scoring it? How do you know the score? That's wild. And then what do they have to do? They don't have to fulfill no hours in watching, but then they just go and they sit and they watch it. And then they hire them because they know which judges are going to be on their side.
Yeah. Este juego, man, es sucio.
You got to know how to play the game. And if you don't have the money or the status to play, it's like the pyramid scheme almost too.
No, it is. It is. It's like the wild. It's really, it's one of the few industries that is kind of just like a free for all. Well, in this country more, because I think that the BBBOC over there in UK is a little bit more strict than your local commission here. I mean, Lamar Odom got a boxing license from who, dog? That man had heart attacks. They gave him a boxing license to fight DK Aaron Carter. I was like, yo, this shit not real. And come to find out it was real. Like, yeah, they fought, bro. Like, you gave a dude that had a heart attack a boxing license.
Yeah, and not only that, but now you have all these YouTubers and stuff fighting. Now you don't even have to fight. You can make more money doing a not a non-sanctioned fight, but an exhibition match.
Mm-hmm.
There's more money in an exhibition match than in actually fighting other people on your level and going towards a world championship.
Bueno, eso es porque esa gente de social media, ellos lo hacen al revés. They get the following first. You know, poniéndose foto, haciendo vaina, they get the following. So by the time they have a following, they can stage their own pay-per-view because they already have the following. They already have the customers. Ellos lo hacen al revés, whereas a boxer tries to get the following by fighting, by having fights. Like, look, I can fight. I'm nice. I'm very entertaining. they do it backwards, but it's working for some of them. It's working for Jake Paul. It's working for a bunch of kids. TikTok versus YouTube. I was like,
Yeah,
fuck this shit.
I don't have a problem with that. Like, I really don't. I believe that we have too many people who want to dictate too many things. If you don't like something, then just don't watch it. Don't be involved in it. But if they want to have those kind of shows, then go ahead and watch it, enjoy it. But now if you want to watch like legit fighters who are fighting towards a belt, watch that. Don't pay for that card and then complain. Me, I got highlights. If I don't support something, I'm either waiting until someone is showing it on their live or I'm going to catch the highlights, just like Mayweather. How you going to complain about Mayweather yet look at his numbers?
Yeah.
So what is there to complain about?
And no, exactly. Like, there's me that I'm not going to say no names, ¿verdad? There's a lot of boxes that I'm just like, I can't be bothered. And I'm not going to buy your pay-per-view, right? Y yo no gasto mucho tiempo. I can only say, you know, what I'm thinking that, okay, well, I don't like this fight, and this is why I'm not going to buy it. Y yo lo dejo ahí, ya que no, esa pelea no sirve. I'm not going to buy it. No sirve. There's certain fights que it belongs on regular television because nobody was even fucking asking you to fight this person for you to be on. No, who the fuck was asking you to fight him? That shouldn't be on pay-per-view. Nah, like, y'all wildin'. Y lo deja ahí.
Start something where the people, almost like America's Got Talent or those singing competitions.
America's Got Hands.
Yeah, right. Let them vote. Like, start showing the rankings and let them vote, and let's see, like, coño, who you want to see fight. Because let me tell you something right now. For instance, if you put all our names in, right, at 118, all the world champions, and then you put all these names of these people that they're matching on them up against, you're going to see how many people have no interest in those fights.
Yeah, honestly.
But if you're not given the choice also, what are you going to do? You're going to watch it because you're bored, and it's like, all right, well, it's on. I'm going to go ahead and watch it. So it's interesting because I want to see how all this unfolds, especially with everything lifting up. But now a lot of states are now going back into mask mandates. They're talking about now doing another possible, trying to tone things down because of the new strain of COVID. So who knows what the heck's gonna happen?
Ay, que el COVID ni el fucking COVID, ya coño. Estoy harto de esa vaina.
Nah, don't take me seriously and make a little clip of me saying COVID.
No, I wouldn't do you like that, pero ya ellos tienen que dejar la vaina. Esa vaina no se va ahí. It's gonna be here. We gotta live, bro. We gotta live. Hay vacuna, okay, está bien. We gotta live. We gotta move around. Perdimos un año. Un año lo perdimos. Yeah, we can't lose another one.
And I thought that this pandemic was going to work in my favor, you know, because I got a couple of fights. So I was like, man, this sucks, but it gave me a chance to kind of, you know, walk through that door, get in the mix a little faster. I wouldn't have been able to fight Roman if things were as busy as they were. Then I wouldn't be talking the way I am. And I will wait until I've earned my right to say, hey, now I want this. But it opened up that door. Now you see everybody fighting against each other, and I'm not a part of it.
No hable así, que no hable así. Ay, pobrecita. Yo voy a orar por ti.
I'm gonna start being like my calm and sweet.
That's how bizarre it is that, like, you got to be nice to people to get, like, will you please fight me? Please and fight me.
Voters, like, let me kiss your butt so you put me on.
It's just wild, man. I really wish that more American promoters, the big ones that have major platform deals, because the small ones can't get you but so far. Mm-hmm. The big ones, they have the power, and it's like, yo, I would know how to do this, and it's not hard. It's not hard. I would know how to do this. It's just you have to match. You have to do what they did with Christy Martin, to where you kind of have the fighter fighting on certain cards. And you have to do that with every single fighter that you have. And people like fights, bro. It don't matter if it's two girls or two chickens or two cats. People like good fights. You just got to give them good fights. As long as you give them good fights, they don't fucking give a shit. They're drunk anyway.
And you know how easy it is to get a promoter's license? That's another problem. Way too many people putting too many cards on.
Yeah.
Look at all these major cards talking about that they tested positive, whatever. But really, it's because you have so many cards on the same weekend.
Eso es lo que fue. Yo sé lo que tú estás diciendo y yo no
Yeah,
voy a decir nada. Yo sé lo que tú estás
yeah, I
diciendo.
lit that in there.
Cállate. Pero eso
And
se
look how
ve.
it women's boxing. Because I was pissed. I was so excited for friend Sean.
Yo, I was only gonna buy it for her.
Exactly. You know how many people were purchasing the fights to see the female side of the card?
Legit, like I wasn't. Yo no iba a comprar esa vaina. I was gonna buy it when I seen she was gonna be on it with the Swede. I was like, all right, I'll get it because they fighting. This other shit is not pay-per-view worthy. That shit is. So I fuck with it. Y ahora quién sabe? Because look at where it's at. We don't know if they're gonna fight. We don't know.
You can find a replacement. So you're telling me you can't find nobody to be a main event? You just canked the whole card? Nah.
Bueno, ahora yo leí that they were thinking about putting it on Oscar De La Hoya's card in September, but I don't, like, honest to God, and I'm not being nice or fun, like, no, I don't care about Lopez Cambosos. I'm sorry. I only cared about the Undisputed fight. That was the only one because I seen Big Homegirl fight when she fought Alicia Napoleon. I seen Franchon since she went pro, so I knew, like, this is a real fight. Like, this is an even fight. The main event, that shit is that's an ESPN fight, bro. That's not a paper. That's an ESPN
By the time
fight.
that fight happens, Oscar will be fighting Mayweather.
Nah, Oscar be fighting fucking Canelo, hablando tanta mierda ese
I know,
tipo.
right? And he's really training, like he's in there.
No, look, he's Oscar. He's like, he's Oscar. Pero he gotta, deja Canelo quieto, man. Ya él no está contigo, déjalo quieto, no hable mierda, no le tire leña al fuego, leave it alone, bro. Okay, he's gone, bro. He's not coming back.
We live in the era of everyone coming out of retirement now. That's like the new thing now. And I don't blame people for wanting to see them come out of retirement because now you have people who 80s, 90s boxing, even early 2000s, they were still fighting each other.
Oh, yeah.
So it was exciting. So now you have that association when you see these viejos talking about, I still got it, because you remember them in their prime.
No.
They were there to fight.
Lo que es más malo, los jovencitos de esta ira no están peleando. Ellos están peleando con muertos. But you know que Oscar, when he was fighting, he fought fucking everybody. He fought fucking Vargas, he fought Sweet Pea, he fought Felix, he fought Hopkins. Win or lose, he fought. With these young guys of this era, no, siempre hay un fucking problema, hay un lío, que el dinero, que la televisión, que la bulla, el peo. Like, bro, like, nobody want to hear that shit. Like,
for instance, I know a lot of people may not like me for this, but so what? I don't want to see Spence versus freaking 5-year layoff Pac-Man, who is now taking the best steroids on the market that are undetectable, so he can put on the best performance.
Cállate, tú no necesitas más enemigos, coño, ya tú tienes enemigos, no digas nada.
Like, there's so many other people Spence can fight. Like, why aren't we seeing that?
Look, I want Spence Crawford personally. I love Manny and all of that. Y está bien, and I love him. But realistically, no. He's fucking 42. He's been out of the ring for 2 fucking years. Let's be honest. You know what I mean? Crawford is the fight that, like, if you put it this way. If they told me tomorrow, look, the Pacquiao fight is off, we're going to do the Crawford fight. Hypothetical, right? $125. You got it. I'll pay it. $125, pay-per-view, you got it. You got my money.
Putting more money into promoting your fighters and marketing them instead of trying to bring back people and making up new titles so they can get their old title back.
Fucking just franchise.
This is another thing that I hope they get on top of. Go ahead and have your babies, but it takes up to 9 months to have a baby. You should not be allowed to hold on to your title. It kind of goes along with the whole Olympic thing. Like Mayor was saying, if you want to go in the Olympics, go. But you shouldn't be allowed to hold on to your world title. Don't hold stuff up because you're living your life.
I understand why they are it's hard because all it takes is for one person to take advantage. You see, if you tell a world champion, oh, you decided to get pregnant, well, we have to strip you and we're sorry. That's a lawsuit. Flat out, that's a lawsuit.
But you're supposed to have a certain amount of time.
Do you really want to gamble? Do you want to gamble when you don't have? Because that's the situation. That's the. I heard about this, a situation of a woman that was breastfeeding at a mall in public. Porque ellos le llamaron la atención, she was able to sue that place. So that's why it's kind of it's touchy that like you could say something or you could try to make it, you know, compulsory, but do you really want to gamble when you know you don't have to?
The bylaws are supposed to be for in the sport. If you're a one of those freaking in the middle champions waiting, right? And that's another thing I can't stand. Oh my goodness, all these
interim,
champions.
Yeah, interim, regular, interstellar, interpolar,
intergalactical.
The fucking WBA intergalactic champion.
They're gonna have the rainbow color now.
Bro, he gonna come in floating like Magneto.
But if we did it in, you know, similar to that, where if you're an I call it intermittent. I'm sorry, I messed that word up. But if you're that kind of champion, you have a certain amount of time before you could, for you to be able to fight for that, and then you become a mandatory. They should have something set in place for female boxers. It's not that you're pregnant, the reason. It's that you can't defend your title. So when you come back, you should be allowed to get back in the mix. But you shouldn't be allowed to hold on to that title because now you're holding up the division.
I would say this.
That's where I'm coming from. Because look at Jennifer Hahn's situation. I understand Jennifer Hahn's a mandatory, but she shouldn't be a mandatory. This is not a good matchup. This is not a good fight. And it doesn't help our case when it comes to mandatories. Because we've been screaming, mandatories, mandatories. Now she got a mandatory and was still complaining because of the circumstances surrounding it.
I agree. I actually like Jennifer Hahn. I wish the circumstances were better for her. Because basically the way it looks is, what did she fight last year? I think she fought once last year. She's been out about a year. I don't even know if that fight was in the lightweight division. I have to check. But it's like, I feel like once this cycle of Olympians, when they're done with the Olympics and they decide to go pro, the sport will have more structure. Because look at what the last cycle of Olympians did. Katie Taylor, Sofia Ochigava, Clarissa Shields, Michaela May. They were all Olympians. Raquel Miller, all these girls that we're seeing now that are kind of doing well, with the exceptions of the ones that were already here, the ones that are doing well, these were Olympic fighters, Olympians. So when the next cycle get here, we get a little bit more structure. You know what I mean? It just sucks for the girls that's already here. It sucks for them.
Mm-hmm. And you know, it does, because I feel for those in my position too. So the ones who are moving around weight classes because of that, don't get me wrong, I understand. But there's so much more that can be done. Nowadays, people are lazy. It is what it is. Nobody wants to put in the work to make things happen. And everybody wants to put things on other people to make it happen. It's not going to work that way. So that's why, as down as I feel, I'm like, you know what? Let me start doing interviews again. Because if you notice, I kind of just dropped off because I've been down. I'm like, yo.
Listen.
From having a schedule where I'm going to fight every other month to now I'm in one of the worst contracts I could have ever signed. I'm in a dictatorship. I have no control of my career. But the worst part is I have no fight.
So he hasn't spoken to you at all about a tentative fight date, something in pencil, nothing?
No. So right now he has a certain amount of time to respond because I actually had to hire a legal team. I actually had to hire Martinez, and I'm now able to utilize him. And I signed with First Round Management, who now represents me. So if you're interested in me fighting, Gary Lewis is not the person. Signature Punch is not who you go to. But I now had to get a, legal representation because now I have a promotion who doesn't tell me anything. I don't know where my career is going. I don't know who I'm fighting. I'm basically told train, and it doesn't matter who you're fighting because you know what to do. I put it on my kids that I had this man look me in my face and say, you don't need to know who you're fighting because as long as they're not a southpaw, you know what to do. So I had to stop asking. Yeah. And I know a lot of fighters have dealt with this where you don't want to talk about these things because then you look like you're just crying about it. And it's like, oh, well, you put yourself in that position. But these are the things that are happening when you don't see some fighters staying busy. The promoter wants you to fight on their card, won't tell you about other cards you're being asked to be on. And when they don't like that promoter, they burn the bridge with that promoter and they don't care because they're not making money off of that card. So now that promoter isn't even trying to put you on their card.
Yes, yo, look, man, I'm a talk to the boxing gods and I'm gonna put in a good word for you. And hopefully we can fix the situation because this is terrible, dog. That's terrible, man.
Yeah. So now everyone, before we get off this live, thank you to everyone who has been watching. I feel like we're two friends who should be on the back porch where, Serrano just chilling the way we've been talking. But that's everything that's been, going on with me. And it needs to be known why my career is on hold. So I can still fight. I just still have to give him the percent he's due because he's still my promoter. But will I be fighting for his card? No. Will I be representing him? No. Because that's not how you treat a fighter, and that's not how you handle a fighter's career, keeping them in the dark and them just wanting them to fight whoever you say.
Always a pleasure. Always welcome back. I'm gonna talk to the boxing gods. They know my name. I don't know why, and hopefully it'll get fixed, man. Always good talking to you.
And thank you, as always, for supporting women's boxing and just supporting boxing in general. Because I think when women and men are mixed in the way you're doing it, and now several other people are doing it, it's going to take away from us looking like we just want it to be all about women's boxing. We just want to be in the mix. So thank you.
Always a pleasure.
See you soon. We'll talk to you soon.